Okay, guys, we are live. Hit the like, hit the share, show us your love, give us a sub, and give these guys a sub. Duper Tier and Daz from the Liverpool Connection podcast. Both will be in the description, so give them some love, guys, from the LFC Worldwide family. We're going to have a lovely little topic tonight, a little bit of chat, keep it clean, keep it real. And to talk about it, as I said, is Daz from Texas, the Scouser in Texas. In the house. Daz, been a while actually since I've had you on.
It has, yeah. Seems like years ago. You know, you don't write to me anymore. No more love letters.
No, I used to do love letters, but they're gone. They're gone. Love letters are gone.
Only when you're winning.
Only when you're winning. You're fucking right there, baby. This is going to be an interesting podcast. We're going to touch at the fire, the depths of hell of LFC. And to chat with us as well is Niall from the upper tier, the Sankly sessions. We're going to have a therapy session tonight, an FSG therapy session.
It's a mouthful, all right. Yeah, good. It's a mouthful to say at that Shankly sessions. It took me a while to get used to it for a while, but I thought it's a good, great name for a podcast. And of course, shout out, Tommy Lawrence. It's his anniversary today. 5 years gone. Great Tommy Lawrence, of course.
Absolutely.
But yeah, all good. Big up to everyone in the chat and Happy New Year and all that. And kind of a Happy New Year, but we're struggling. And love the background as well, Dave. Love Anfield lit up at night time. Looks spectacular.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's under the lights tonight, baby. It's under the lights tonight. It's Tuesday, as I say, with a bit of crack. Get your comments in, guys. You know what to do at this stage. But we're going to kick it off with, I'll give you my basic read of FSG in Liverpool. I want your thoughts on it, what you think and it's all about opinions, as I said before. But I think basically Fenway Sports Group have been very good for the club. They came in when we were a sinking ship. Basically, we were on the Titanic, and these guys came out with their fucking dinghies and their tugboats, and they basically saved this club. People don't realize this club was in trouble. I'm sure you guys know we were in deep shit. We were at administration level. We were close. We were on the precipice. We were in trouble. And these guys took us out of trouble and basically turned us around. Brought in Jurgen Norbert Klopp, the Messiah, brought him in, the boss, whatever you want to call him. Gave us a new training ground. Melwood was getting old. It was getting, it had been brilliant, Melwood, and a lot of memories there, I'm sure. But Kirby, AXA Training, brought in money, brought in sponsorship, night deals, whatever you want. Brought in players. Maybe not enough for a few people, which we're going to get into. But I think on the whole, they've been decent for the club. They could have been better. I think they've missed 2 or 3 transfer windows where if they would have invested, it might have been a different story and you wouldn't have these lunatics on FSG out and Klopp out. They're actually turning into Klopp outs now, by the way, if anybody knows. Now, that is fucking complete lunacy. You can have your FSG out, yeah, maybe, but the Klopp out business, what the fuck is that all about? Sorry for cursing, but we're going to get to that level. So, for me, I think they've been very good for the club. But as I said, they missed 2 or 3 windows. Big window they missed when we won the league for the first time in 30-odd years. When we won that league 2020, that summer, they brought in 1 or 2 bits of Lego, bits of fucking jigsaws instead of buying a whole Meccano set. They didn't do it. We needed 2 or 3 players, big players. You've seen United do it. You've seen Chelsea do it. All the top teams did it in Europe throughout history. So we should have learned from that. We knew the policy. They'll only spend what they make, basically. I'm sure they made a few quid the year they won the league. But they didn't do it then. And there was another window, the famous window where we hadn't got centre halves. We fucking were playing young lads. We were playing centre midfields. There was a furlough decision they made, which they U-turned on. There was a Super League decision, which I'm sorry to say, lads, will happen eventually. Unfortunately, I am a time traveler. I've seen it. I've seen it 10 years. I've already been there. I've come back. Believe me, it happens. But so, for me, they've been decent, but I think they've missed the trick in the last few windows. They've 3 weeks left and 2 weeks left in this window. Will they do that? And I don't think they probably will. And I think it's a partial sale, lads. Sorry to say, it's not going to be a full sale. I just don't see it. It's a cash cow. It's Liverpool. Why the hell would you sell Liverpool if you can get 200 million for 10% or something, 300 million? So I think I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10. I'm not going to say too much more about them. I want to hear what you guys have to say. But I think they missed tricks in 2 or 3 windows, and basically that's what has them in the FSG shit they're in now. So who wants to put their hand up and say what do you feel, Daz from Texas?
All right, Dr. Dave,
Psychiatrist tonight, by the way.
All right. When I was a boy,
it all began back in the 70s.
All began in the 70s with the Adidas
60s.
Hey, not that old. Yeah, I'd go 7 out of 10 as well. I think the problem has been after the Champions League win 2019. I think we should have put more money into player recruitment. I think that's one of our biggest issues. I think, that's why even Klopp says we need to take more risks, and we do. I mean, we've heard nothing but Bellingham constantly. So there's something there that one lad is not going to change this football team. That's our issue. If all you have to do now is look, Milner's out of contract, Keita, Ox, Firmino. I think there's like one more. That's at least 4 or 5 players. If they don't at least bring in one midfielder, and that one midfielder, he's not going to be the Messiah, is he? Coming in January, he's not going to solve all these problems. So I don't know where. I mean, people banging on about like FSG out. Well, it looks like FSG have put the club up for sale, right? If I'm not mistaken. So what more can they do? They're not just going to let anybody come and just buy the damn team. They're worth 3 to 4 billion. So they're not going to get shortchanged. They're going to wait for the right buyer or the right investment to come in. I mean, I know it's frustrating. I think as Liverpool fans, we've come accustomed in the past 5 years of winning.
Yeah.
And now that we're playing like shit, we're all losing our heads. I mean, a lot of us, I would think, Niall and yourself, kind of get away from the Twitter brigade and kind of be
TikTok boys,
be rational about things and kind of go, FSG do need to do more. Have they been the worst owners we've ever had? No. But if you get on Twitter, people make it out like they have. They don't invest their own money and all this bullshit. Like, it does my head in. They've been good owners. Have they done everything right? No, of course they haven't. But which owners have? You want to be Man United where they protest, they throw their toys out the pram, right? They wanted Ronaldo back. Look how that went. It's the same. Chelsea, they're spending money like nobody's business. Where are they in the league? 10th.
Fucking unbelievable.
It drives me crazy. I mean, it's annoying to get on social media, and that's all you see these days. FSG out, Klopp out. Then Alisson's not good enough. And Hendo's shit. Thiago makes this team worse. It's like, come on, people, just take a step back, breathe. This team. Obviously, we're not going to win the League Cup. We're out. Obviously, we're not going to win the league, but there's so many games to get it right. So many games. I think we'll make top 4. I do. I think Newcastle, Spurs will all have a blip, but Klopp is good enough. This team's good enough. They're just low in confidence. But yeah, another midfielder would be nice. But again, how long would that take for him to get up to par with the team?
So you're a 7 out of 10 man like me. Obviously, looks like you're never going to get perfect owners, are you? Really? I mean, maybe you could say City are perfect owner, or City's fucking, sports washing and fucking oil barons are perfect owners because of the fact they've got an endless checkbook. But that's a different thing. That's a different ethical thing, or whatever you want to say. But in the position we're in, the way FSG do it, we're a well-run club. We're not in debt. The likes of United is. United are fucking swimming in debt. Their ground's falling down. I mean, they've leaks in the ceilings, and I don't know whether you've seen it, the training grounds and bits. Ronaldo was talking about that. So What do people want? The big question is, the unfortunate thing is, come on to you now in a second, Niall. Football and money has changed football. The business thing has changed. The whole thing has changed, say, in the last 4 or 5 years, probably since after COVID. The likes of Chelsea did it with Abramovich. We've seen the billionaires coming in and doing things. Probably even go back to Blackburn when they won the league that time. And the man came in, a multi-millionaire, basically won the league. Owen Shearer, Sutton, and David Batty, and all these guys playing for Blackburn. They came out of nowhere and won the fucking league. You know what I mean? Only Leicester City, you could say. I know your man was a millionaire at the time, but Leicester City win the league in 2015. That's still fucking amazing how they did that. That was just wow. But I just think money has changed football, and I don't think there's any going back. I think it's actually going to get worse before it gets better. I really do. You're looking at all these Eastern European or Eastern consortiums like the Saudi and the Qatari, and these guys are fucking endless pits. We see what happened to Qatar in the World Cup. Like 300 billion or something, 200 billion to put a big World Cup on. You're not going to be getting that back. So they didn't care. You know what I mean? And Saudi Arabia now at Newcastle. I mean, anything could happen there. Like they could be winning the league in 2 years easily. I think they're way ahead of themselves now. They're possible chance for top 4. I know Daz doesn't think they'll get top 4, but I think they'll be thereabouts. They could bring somebody in now in the next fucking week or two. You know what I mean? But I mean, Niall, what do you think? I just think the way football's going, so much money in it. It's only going one fucking way. It's all money. It's all money.
It's changed so much to the point where it probably needs regulation at this stage. It's getting so out of hand. Similar to the draft.
Regulation. It doesn't work.
No, I don't mean as in financial fair play. I mean actual real regulation, similar to like what you get a draft in the US on some of the US sports and stuff like that, where you level out the playing field a little bit. And I know it's very hard to adopt it and stuff like that. But in terms of FSG, it's very difficult because on one hand, you have very successful business guys who have taken the club from 300 million to 5 billion or whatever it is. And, they've ran the club really well in terms of commercial deals, as you said, and all that other stuff. And then on the other hand, you have us here as the football fans who want and drive so much more for success. And it's irritating the fan base, of course, because, we won the league. And, I don't get as gassed about it as a lot of fans, because I spent 30 years waiting on the league to arrive. I lived through all those years. I looked at Arsenal and Man United and Chelsea and Blackburn and Leicester and all these teams winning leagues. And I had to sit there in the shadows at times with sometimes a sprinkling of success. But I do think they missed a trick insofar as you said, Dave, another 1 or 2 clever signings or something like that. But they had a chance to create what we call a dynasty. And they didn't. Yeah. They backed off that and they kind of let us down somewhat. And I'm not sure that just sits at FSG's door as well, because sometimes I'm not being critical of the gaffer or something like that. I love Jurgen Klopp. Absolutely love him.
You can be critical. He only watches a nutshell. Go on.
But you know what I mean? It's sometimes you have to question as well, when we talk about players being signed and stuff like that, how forceful was he? Did he really want in that moment for that to happen? And then you have the other argument as well, the whole money about, do we want to be oiled up? Do we want to become Saudi Arabia FC or Qatar FC or whatever it is? And if that was to happen, then does that mean we might never see a Trent Alexander-Arnold again, or an Andy Robertson, or some of these great youth that came through in past years and stuff like that and all? Or would they just go out every transfer window and buy the next 2 best players for each of those positions and stuff like that? Similar to what Pep did at Man City. When you think about it, he brought in how many different fullbacks till he got it right and spent that money and stuff like that. And I think a lot of Liverpool, what we miss at times is we have a certain identity. And our identity is our love for the club and our culture and what it means to be a Liverpool fan. And that doesn't necessarily always mean being successful, if you like, and winning stuff. It's a real privilege for me to follow this club. And I followed it through some brilliant times, some amazing moments, some great times, and some really dark and poor times, as you mentioned, Dave, Gillette and Hicks and stuff like that, and on the steps of those courts. I'd vision, going out and signing our sixth choice players And like, you know, on the steps of the court and visions of us going down to the Championship or League One and being the laughing stock of the football world and how could we let this happen? And then they came in and they kind of gave us this investment. And the big thing that people forget about FSG, and at times when they're questioning them, they gave us Jurgen Klopp. They brought Jurgen Klopp in.
Best signing Liverpool ever made.
You know? Yeah. And then you think about it as well. They sanctioned the sale of Coutinho and they used those funds to bring in Virgil van Dijk and bring in Alisson. And we know as Liverpool fans, if you know your history, our goalkeeper was always a problem. Always a problem, always an issue.
Well, either a lunatic like Grobbler or maybe Clements was probably the last of a really great.
Yeah, but I'm thinking when you think of Mignolet and you think of Karius and you think of that European Cup final, that Champions League final, you know what I mean? It's always been our Achilles heel. So I think it's, you know, it's a difficult one as well. And the question I would have for your chat as well, and for us, I suppose, is in the times where we just missed out on the league, do we really believe another signing, as Daz said? Would another signing have made the difference? When you go and you look back at those seasons and you think about where we dropped the points and who we played and what happened, and, you know, at times was it a tactical issue? At times was it in-game management that just didn't happen? We know how stubborn the gaffer can be in terms of making substitutions and the timing and of all that stuff. You know, he's not, you know, he doesn't necessarily get a free pass on some of those results that might have cost us, and then we'd other great moments. So I don't know. It's a real difficult one. They don't get a pass in relation to trying to trademark Liverpool. They don't get a pass in terms of furloughed staff. Yeah. They don't get a pass in trying to hike ticket prices. They don't get a pass in terms of the Super League in that guise that it was, although we all know it is going to happen, but in a different format and stuff like that. But yeah, I think there's so much in terms of positives and so much in terms of negatives. Like when you think about signings, if you talk about FSG and their pros and their cons, they've made some really good signings through Jurgen Klopp. But they've also not made enough signings at times, or made one or two that was a bit iffy and stuff like that.
It's the timing of the signings. It's the critical windows that they didn't fucking sign when they should have. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it was at those times when we were being really successful as well, and we were awash with money, of course. Sponsorships were coming in, deals were coming in, all this kind of thing, and it was frustrating. But you know the thing that's happened, and you look at it, if you look at the Boston Red Sox the other day, they signed a new deal for that guy, 275 million quid, I think, over 10 years. A lot of that is the pressure that the fans put on, and they shouted louder. And I find sometimes, because of our history and stuff like that and everything we've gone through as Liverpool fans, stuff like that, sometimes we just roll over and we let them tickle our belly and we don't shout enough at the times when we should. And then in hindsight, we go back and we go, but you should have done this and you should have done that. But we're not out there in the cold face of it when it's in situ, when we should be doing it. And I think they get away with a pass from that point of view, you know. But I think we all have a point to play in it. Fans, I don't think you can solely talk about FSG and not talk about Jurgen Klopp and not talk about other stuff. We love the gaffer, of course, love him to bits, brought us a Champions League and a league and all those other trophies.
The whole package I'm talking
but
about.
I think one thing, and it's a good one for your chat as well, if you look at Jurgen Klopp, when we look back on his era, if his time was to finish with just what he has now, I wonder how him as the gaffer would view it. Would he view it as being a missed opportunity, a slight disappointment, or would he see it being a success? And that's the real question. And stuff.
That'd be the next book.
Yeah, absolutely. We've a library load at this stage, haven't we?
Klopp, if you're writing a book, just wait a few years. I don't want a new book out next fucking year. You know what I mean? Intensity. We know which way that Intensity book went. Let's be real. The Intensity just dropped when that came out. But I mean, like you're a Liverpool, you're a Scouser yourself. I mean, Liverpool to me, being from Dublin and Niall, it's more just a football club. It's the city itself. I love Liverpool City as well. I know there's Irish connections with Liverpool and all that, but it's the city. It's unlike a lot of clubs. And I know it's a cliche. People keep going, it's a special club and the people, and there's political reasons. There's loads of bleeding reasons. As you see in England now, as you're seeing more in England, being a Labour city, and there's so much connotations, which to me makes it important because it's very I know it's English, but it's very Irish to us. You know what I mean? It's the same social background type of thing to Dublin or anywhere in Ireland, I suppose. But I live in Dublin, so that's what really drew me to it in the 80s. Plus, you had Irish players playing the likes of Ronnie Whelan, and most of them were English. John Aldridge, Ray Houghton, and whatever back in the 80s, and they were successful. You know, obviously Liverpool were the team in the 80s, so you would have had that huge thing. But for me, that's what I'm saying. FSG, they've got to be careful, and I'm sure they will be. If they do sell it or partly sell it or do something, they've got to be careful. It's not just selling a piece of a business that's worth 3-4 billion. You're selling basically the soul, you know, the soul of people, the soul of fans, because they're so invested in it. You know, I'm not talking about the TikTok boys or the Instagram boys who just go out giving out about players or, you know, not picking players. I'm not about the proper fan, if I can say that. Not even a little bit of people that get to the game, because not enough people get to the fucking. I find it hard to get to a game in Liverpool, to be fair. I really do. Even I went to Liverpool once and I didn't even get a ticket. Some fella let me down and I enjoyed it just as much. I know this might sound fucking weird, but I enjoyed it. Match day outside Anfield at the pub, in around the ground, and after the game, we won the game, but I wasn't even in the fucking stadium. Mm-hmm. But to me, it was just the whole, you know, the whole atmosphere, the whole day out, and, you know, it was like a religious experience without going into the church. You know what I'm saying to you? Even though I'm not religious, but you know what I'm trying to say to you? It was like a religious thing. And I think Liverpool gives that. Probably a handful of clubs give you the same. Maybe United could do it for United fans. And there's a handful of clubs in the world that do it. So I just think FSG, if they are going to sell, they've got to be careful selling. They're selling a heritage. They're selling, you know, not just a project. They're selling a fucking culture, a heritage, history, fucking everything. 1892, baby. And Daz, you're a Scouser. So, you know, I'm sure you've eaten it, you breathe it. Even you're living in Texas now, but is that right? Am I right saying that?
You're 100% right. I do worry about, you know, if they sell to an oil nation, it'll suck the heart and soul out of this club, and it'll just be another football club. That's it. And I think a lot of people really don't understand what being a Liverpool supporter is. I just think that they play FIFA, they play, what's the other one? Football Manager. It's too many times.
No, I don't play them.
And I mean, look, I'd rather be who we are than be Man City and can't even fucking fill a stadium. I mean, that to me is a disgrace. I mean, and you talk to proper Man City fans, and they will say, I'm sure they're loving the trophies, but Main Road was always full.
Yeah.
Always full. It wasn't full of plastic flags flying about. I just think, that, you know, everybody wishing FSG out, be careful what you wish for. That's what I'll say.
No, absolutely be careful. Well, you could get the fucking Glazers. But at least when the United fans went in with their flags, we all remember Liverpool playing United that day. They stormed the pitch, the game was called off, and they played it a few days later. But the Glazers have spent fucking huge money there, and they're still not bleeding happy. Because, see, they take their dividends out every year. They don't really care about the ground. The ground's falling fucking down. The training ground, let them train there, but it's not as, wouldn't be a new ground. It's an old 90s ground. Hasn't been fucking done up. Apparently, Ronaldo's saying they still got the same kettle and microwave there since the fucking noughties. So, I mean, you have to be, as you said, Daz, you have to be really careful. And the problem is now, the world we're living in now, I call them TikTok boys. You know the ones I'm talking about. Teenager, 20-year-olds that think everything just happens like that. You sign players. Who cares how much it costs? Who cares if it's going to put 100 million debt in the club? Nobody cares. Once he scores a few goals for me, I'm happy. You know the type of bullshit that goes on. Don't even think. It's the long-term structure. It's the long-term project for the club. And that's where I think FSG have been very good. As I said, they haven't done everything right. I'm not an FSG fucking fanboy. John W. Henry's on the phone. But you know what I mean? So, no, I'm not. They've made mistakes. Absolutely, they've made mistakes. Who hasn't made fucking mistakes? But they could have done better in a few things, and I don't think we'd be where we are if they would have invested in just even 2 windows and done the right thing. They see the age profile. They have meetings every fucking week in the famous transfer committee. It is worrying the likes of Michael Edwards left. It is worrying Julian Ward is leaving in the summer, and our main stats guy is the director of stats is leaving. We only got a bleeding doctor in the door before Christmas. There's something going on in the background. There is definitely something. I've seen it in Klopp's interviews. I'm sure he's copped it after the pre-season, which was a bit sketchy. I don't worry too much about pre-seasons, but it was a weird pre-season after 63-match season where we could have won fucking everything. We'd be looking back on that season where we could have did it, should have did it, maybe could have did it. and we'd be going, maybe we should have won at least one more trophy out of that season. I think we were good enough to do it. And I think you've got to take these moments. Sometimes they don't go for you. I thought this year we'd be up there with City. I really did. After that Community Shield win, I was ready to rock and roll. We signed Darwin Núñez. He looked really good. I'm sure he will. And I believe he will come good. I think he's going to score goals, this guy. But we missed the trick in midfield, lads. We missed the fucking trick big time. I mean, Tchouaméni, we were in for him. We had 80 million or whatever it was for him aside. So where did that money go? The money was there. He decided to go to Madrid. You know what I mean? So
there's got to be more choices than just Tchouaméni and Bellingham. That's the two biggest names that we're like in for, and there wasn't anything else. And as Niall says, you've got to put some of the blame at Klopp. It's not all FSG.
Oh yeah. Maybe Klopp was happy with what he had. Maybe Klopp said, "Listen, these lads are good. We nearly won a fucking everything last year.
Another season.
I have another year in these boys, and we'll go for Bellingham next summer. You put all your fucking eggs in one basket." I think that was the plan. That was the original plan. I think the Hakpo, his name is. I think it's a very good signing. I think it will turn out to be a really good, at that price, that money, a young Dutch international. He will be really good. But that's a future thing. That's a different project. I thought Operation Midfield was on this window and summer. Operation Midfield. And Operation Midfield at the moment is sort of I don't know if it's working, but you never know. You might sign someone in 2 weeks, another Art or Mello, a melodramatic signing. So I fucking know. But so Niall, it's, look, we're not being too harsh on FSG. We could be fucking coursing at them here and stuff like that. We're not that type, as you say. We're a bit older fan. We're a little bit of a grayer type fan. Is that what you call them?
Yeah,
we've seen club in bad days.
I think as well. It's a weird conundrum as well, because in the recent years when we've been at our most successful is when we've had our worst transfer windows. So we went out and won the Champions League. We didn't really make the moves we should. We went out and won the Premier League. We didn't really make the moves that we should. And we've seen over years with the successful teams, they bring in one or two players and they constantly keep that rotation going to keep the squad fresh. But we have to take account as well. We've also been very unlucky as well. We go out and buy a defender and our forwards get injured. We go out and buy a forward and our midfielders get injured. And we go out and buy a midfielder and then he gets injured. And it's just, we haven't had any real, there's like a cloud over the club at the moment.
Yeah, of course.
Every time I watch a match now, all I want to hear is that the 11 that played finished and they're training on the Monday. That's all I want to hear. I look out
every podcast I do, I want to win and no injuries.
It's just like, you know what I mean? We're looking for a midfielder, and then there's mixed messages coming out. You see the gaffer the other day wearing the Yankees cap and stuff like that, and it's just, is he sending the subliminal messages there and stuff like that? And then, 2 weeks ago we didn't need a midfielder. It was all good. He was happy with what he had. A week later, then it's better get a midfielder in all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's staring us straight in the face. And like, he's working with these people every day and stuff like that. But I don't believe, if you look at Daz talked about the Tchouaméni deal as well. Like, that 70 million didn't just evaporate. It didn't just go away.
Where's the fucking money?
You know what I mean? The money was there because the money was there to sign.
Electricity and gas have gone up in the last year. Maybe they're paying for that.
That was already factored in.
I'm joking.
Yeah, absolutely. But I just think, I wonder sometimes, and I'm not too sure, but I wonder sometimes if the gaffer's stubbornness overshadows what he needs to see and stuff like that. And also, I think, we love him for his personality and everything else and his closeness to the players and all that kind of stuff. But I wonder sometimes, has he stepped over that mark a little bit of how close his relationship is with the players to the point where his loyalty, overshadows his ability to make change and stuff like that when players need to be dropped or taken out and all that kind of stuff. And I just wonder, is that the case as well? Look, don't get me wrong. I love Jordan Henderson. I love James Milner. I love every player that plays for this club. But there comes the time Stevie G moved on, Robbie Fowler moved on, Michael Owen moved on. All these great players who played for us down through the years all moved on eventually. And I just wonder, is there an element of that as well? And I think what happens is, do we sometimes, because of our protection of the gaffer at times, does it cloud our judgment and we point it's FSG, FSG, FSG? And I wonder, is that a case as well? You know, and I just think we have to, if we have to have a conversation about the owners, you know, we have to have a conversation at a lot of different levels as well.
Oh, yeah, that's what I want you to talk
about. And that's what we do as well, you know. And I just think maybe that might be the case as well, you know. So,
but you know what, injuries, guys, I don't know what he is thinking this. I've been thinking about this for a few years with the bleeding injuries. Do you think the intense style we play, the ligament extending style that we play, the football, even in the training sessions, apparently it's fucking ridiculous. The double training sessions, triple train. We know Klopp is regimental. We know Klopp could have been in the fucking army, basically. You know, General Klopp. That the amount of injuries we get is down to the fact of the intense style we play. Is that right, or is that a correct? Or do we even fucking know? I don't know.
100%.
It has to be.
100%. I think the way we play, and the way we played, I should say, and also the mental fatigue as well of chasing down City every season and chasing down these trophies every season, and you know, getting into 3 Champions League finals and trying to get them over the line. And last year we were 2 games away from landing a quad, you know what I mean, and all this kind of thing. And I just think you've got a mixture there of mental fatigue and physical fatigue. And I think maybe that whole conundrum there ages the players a lot more than we realize. I think we might have a player there that's 28, but because of everything he's gone through, as you said, Dave, between mental and physicality over the last 4 or 5 years, he probably feels like a 35-year-old. You know what I mean? He probably feels like he's aged rapidly, and the intensity is absolutely huge. And because we've been so successful, if you look at last year, there was no downtime at all. It was game after game after game. We were in the cups, the league, the Champions League. We were chasing everything. We had the longest season. We played every single minute of every single game that was available to us. And it just, the mental fatigue of that last year as well must have aged those boys rapidly in terms of physicality and mentally as well. And I think that is definitely a factor. But I think that's just the style of our play, and it's hard to argue with it as well because it has brought success. But I think now it's coming home to roost because your average 30-year-old or 28 or 29-year-old in the squad probably feels about 35, you know. And I think that's a great point that you raised.
Yeah, but so that's what I'm saying. So last summer, like the year we won the league in 2020 and 1 or 2 other windows, was the time to fucking refresh. I mean, if you're running, it's like running a marathon, basically. That we was a marathon last year. It was a fucking marathon. And at the end of it, you get the medal around your neck and you're told you've a fucking mini marathon in the morning. You want a new pair of runners, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? So that's, I mean, like, we had a ridiculous season last year. I'll always remember it. We won the League Cup. We won the FA Cup. I mean, I'm even thinking about nearly having a fucking heart attack. But that Villa City game, they're 2-0 up. We only need a draw, really. We were always going to beat Wolves. I know we left it late, but we were always going to beat Wolves. I mean, that was fucking ridiculous. And then the Champions League final, I thought we were the better team. We just weren't lucky that night. We just weren't lucky. So it could have went. We could have did it. Probably will never, ever be done. That's probably as close as it'll ever get. But, so what do you think, guys, going forward? We're going to switch it around now. Okay. Do you think anybody's coming in this, 2 weeks left? Just 2 and a bit. Tuesday, I think it closes. Tuesday next week it closes in 2 weeks. Do you think we're bringing anyone, or is that a deal done? Daz? On the spot.
My heart says we're bringing someone in. My brain says no.
Yeah. I think they're done. I think I heard Klopp saying something, was a Friday in one of the pressers. You know, you've players coming back. Jones, you've players, Arthur Mello. Mello's been down in that fucking dungeon with bleeding Kabak and Ben Davies. He lost the key. He lost the fucking key for them. So, I mean, Mello could turn out to be, you know, that was a panic buy, guys. We all know. He came into the club. He hadn't kicked the ball. I don't think he kicked the ball since May. He came into the club late August, last second. Needed to get someone in, brought him in. That's just not a signing that we needed. I'm hoping someone comes in, but I don't think they'll be forced in just because the fans aren't happy on TikTok and want us to buy Casado off fucking Brighton. I just can't see it.
I mean, that's one, you know, people having a go saying, well, why did we get Gakpo? Well, we've only got two forwards at the moment. You know, Bobby's not back. Diaz not back till March, which means he probably won't be ready till the end of March. Jota, we're not really hearing too much about his recuperation, what's going on with him. So we were going to get him in the summer anyway, but it was more like a Diaz proposal as well.
Yeah.
Some other people were sniffing about. Man United was, thought they had him. So for 37 mil, it was a no-brainer to bring him in.
Yeah, no, great signing. It's going to be a great signing, no doubt about it.
And I also think he can do, because he's very versatile as well. So you never know, Klopp might, change the tactics, put him as a number 10. So we have that. But I don't think any of us would have expected the massive, massive drop-off from Fabinho. That's the one that worries me the most. I knew Henry would drop off just because of age. Same with Thiago, but Fabinho has been god-awful. But I also believe it's because of the drop-off around him as well. If he's in a solid midfield where he has engines on either side, I think you would see a better Fabinho. But because everyone else has dropped off, this is exactly the same thing. It's like everybody has dropped off.
Yeah.
Apart from Alisson.
I mean, even Van Dijk, lads. I know he's injured, but I don't think Van Dijk's been right at all this season. I really don't. He's not the same Van Dijk that we all remember. He probably hasn't been the same since that fucking injury. That could have been a career-ending injury. That was that bad. And he's out for what, nearly a year. I mean, I don't know whether it's psychological, maybe. No, he hasn't been too bad. I mean, last year he wasn't bad. We nearly won the fucking quadruple. But I'm just saying, a few things this season, he got caught, wasn't making the right decision. Look, too many key players dropping off will kill you. Too many key players dropping off will absolutely fucking kill you. But look, okay, going forward now, we'll move forward. A bit of positivity. I still think we can make top four, as you said, Daz. I'm sure, Niall, you probably think the same. I'm not sure, but I still think the basis of the squad, the nucleus of the squad is there. Obviously, we need to start fucking playing. We need to start picking up points. And we got Brighton the weekend, probably the most informed team, in fucking Europe at the moment. I mean, I'm hoping Liverpool can brighten up my Saturday, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a really tough one. But the midfield three, Thiago, Hendo, Fabinho, I don't think they can start again, guys. In big games, the likes of Brighton away. I just don't think we've no energy. We need energy. We need something in the midfield. So what do you think for the weekend Saturday? I mean, Brighton away, that's going to be that's a potential, a loss there. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the funny thing is, Dave, when we do talk about signings and stuff like that, even if we had a fully fit squad, we still need 1 to 2 midfielders, even if we have a fully fit squad. And that's the thing that people sometimes forget. But I think in terms of Brighton, that's going to be really, really tough. I mean, they're so dynamic in the way they play. Your man hasn't playing great football. And it's going to be a tough one. It's never an easy place to go, the Amex.
You have them in the cup if we get past Wolves.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be we have to start picking up maximum points in these games if we want to really push on and try and get a top four.
Draws aren't fuck off.
And the problem is, if we don't get top four, are we going to end up on Thursday and Sunday football and stuff like that, which would be a disaster. And not only that, we don't have to worry then about signings. We don't have to worry about Jude Bellingham, and we don't have to worry about all these players we want to come in and that we're linked with, because it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Jude Bellingham is not going to come into Liverpool if we're playing Europa League or Europa Conference or any of that. Or
that's a dirty word.
This is where they could go to if we're not.
I know. I'd rather retire Conference League.
We remember the days when we didn't even have European football near long.
I'd rather not have it than have the fucking Conference League. I'd rather just concentrate in the league next year.
What would we make videos on them? But, I think the Brighton game, I just think at the moment, you spoke about Van Dijk, there's no confidence in the side at the moment. No one's walking out, and like you seen even Robbo the other day when he was trying to G the players up and stuff like that when it was too late against Brentford, I think it was, and stuff like that and all. And it's just, there's no confidence there. We've no leaders. We've a fragmented unit at the moment. We always played as a system from back to front, the whole team. Losing Mane and stuff like that kind of fractured that system a little bit. I don't think we realised as much at the time that he was the energy and the workhorse that provided that press with the boys as well. Obviously, Bobby has been kind of in and out of the team, and he's had his own injuries and stuff like that. But I just think we're fractured at the moment as a unit in terms of our press and our play, which is catching us out. We have a midfield. Yeah, we have a midfield. We have a midfield that's too easy to bypass. Yeah, we have a midfield that's too easy. Yeah, 100%. And then, of course, you know, like obviously Alisson the other day coughing up that goal. That's most unusual because without Alisson, we'd be talking about, you know, relegation battles and stuff like that, to be honest. How many times has the big man saved us and stuff like that? And it's just anything that can go wrong at the moment is going wrong. Either play, confidence, injuries. We're getting hit with a bombardment and stuff at the moment, and it's very hard to see through that at times when you're dealing with so much crap. And then I'm sure Jurgen has to deal with it from top down and bottom up. He's trying to fight battles for us at the top end. He's trying to fix things at the bottom end. And maybe he's getting beaten down himself a little bit about it. He doesn't smile as much anymore. He's very, very touchy in press conferences when he's asked about signings or players and that kind of thing. He's not the Jurgen that we grew to love that was out there. And it's like, you know, to pun a wrestling term, he's lost his smile like Shawn Michaels. And he needs to find that smile again, because we always say he's the superstar at Liverpool. All the players look to him. And if he's where he's at, that will spread down through the team and through the squad. And that's a real confidence thing. And if we go to Brighton, we could go to Brighton and this could either go one way. We could find ourselves again, come out of the blocks and prove everyone wrong.
Or it could be a bad day.
Up there and it could get real toxic, real quick.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But also, Daz, I presume, like, do you think Klopp changed? The system slightly changed, I think, to allow Núñez to come in, I think, as well. He changed, tweaked a few little things, and I think that had an effect on the team too. You know what I mean? I really do. I think we've been playing well with the 4-3-3.
It pushed Salah way too wide.
Yeah.
And then people, I mean, you watch games now, Mo's got at least 2 players on him constantly, and then even 3. But you would think that would open us up a bit more. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take time with Núñez, isn't it? Just like Gakpo, it's going to take time. It's just frustrating for us all. Like I said, we're used to winning. And we're used to seeing this mentality monsters as a team, and they just look rejected. You can see it on their faces, their body language, all of them. But, you know, when you see Alisson making a mistake like that, you really think to yourself, what is going on with this team? Because
shambolic is the word I use.
Yeah, and even on the pitch, when it goes wrong, everyone's looking around to everyone else. No one wants.
That's a bad sign. That's a bad sign.
No one wants to take responsibility and say, right, that's on me.
They were looking for the linesman to flag offside. Alisson's like looking like nobody's offside, mate. You're just a howler. It's frustrating. I mean, I couldn't think of a worse team to play Brighton away.
I mean, even Brighton at Anfield would have been a fucking handful. Let's be real.
Trossard loves us, doesn't he?
To the point, apparently we're linked with him today. Did you see that for the summer?
What?
We're linked with Trossard today for the summer. I like him. I think he's a real good player, Trossard. I like him.
I like him. Someone like him, busy. You know, real busy, biting at your ankles type of thing.
Every player that's ever scored against us.
Always signed. Nigel Clough.
He was brilliant against us last year at Anfield. I was at the match, and himself and Gross and Sully March, they were unbelievable. They absolutely tore the midfield asunder as well. Like, and you know, when I see players jumping out of tackles, I really get worried. When I see players jumping out of tackles, and I wonder, are we being overcoached as well, Dave? You know the way lads aren't letting fly. You see the likes of Salah cutting in from the right to the left, goes across the box, doesn't take those little curly shots into the corner that he used to take. You know what I mean? It's like they're being told, this is your job.
Do your own fucking thing. You know that type of way?
Yeah, it's like they've taken the little bit of flair that we had,
Pep
and they've
Linders in the
sucked it
background.
out of them. Yeah, I wonder
I
is that
just
the
think
case?
this. Do you think there's been an influence from Pep Linders over, say, the last 12 months since that book came out? Well, 6 months.
It's become very scientific, I think, too scientific, and it's killed that bit of flair that we
Yeah.
had. You know, where someone might try something. Remember when even Curtis Jones used to
Spontaneous,
lob one into the top corner and stuff.
spontaneous is gone.
Yeah, now it's like as if they've been coached. Right, this is your section of the pitch. This is what you do. That's it. That's your job. Being overcoached all the time, and it kills the flair. And then we see it then because when they bring on a Ben Doak, it's a breath of fresh air. The stuff he tries, the flicks and the different things. When they bring on Bietic, the young lad in midfield, he just
they're not listening to Klopp. They're not listening to Klopp.
Then what happens? The same with Carvalho. Carvalho comes on, does something different, and then all of a sudden you're benched for 3 weeks and you're not getting a game. You know, because maybe you didn't go with the plan and you tried something different. Yeah, it's crazy. So I don't know. I think on every single level there's issues, and I think those wave of issues, it's going to take time to unravel all that.
I think there's a bit of pain still to come, lads. Unfortunately, this season, I think there could be a good bit of pain, but I'm hoping it's not too bad. I think there's surgery needed. I think we're walking into a little clinic down the road, but they don't do surgery in that clinic. You have to go to a main hospital or a private hospital or something. And I think the private hospital probably will have to be the trick with FSG. They're the ones that are going to have to belly up for the big operation that Liverpool need, because it's not a toothache, lads. This is a fucking this is getting knocked out job. You know what I mean? As you said, Daz, it's not just Bellingham. Even if Bellingham came in tomorrow, we need more than Bellingham. You know, we need an enforcer in midfield. Someone to put their fucking foot in the ball. Even a Mascherano type. You know, we need something.
Like we were encouraged the other night to see Gakpo in the starting lineup, and we thought this might give the team a bit of a lift now. You know, a new player in, a little bit of trickery, maybe might try something and stuff like that. God, we were awful. And in fairness to the kid came out himself and he broke down his own play that he wasn't happy with it and stuff like that and all, you know, so fair play to him and stuff like that. And it's going to take time to adjust, of course, coming into a big club and stuff like that. But like, we're so flat in our play. Everything seems so forced. Nothing is done with confidence. Our passing is all over the place. It's so symptomatic of everything.
Show. It's a shit show.
It's just like
Daz dying to get in here. Look at him.
We keep giving the ball away.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, we get the ball and then we give it straight back. We can't. It doesn't seem like the possession's gone that we used to have. You know, it's just silly schoolboy at us.
Yeah. It's also, do you know what it is? Even you look at the possession, and in most games we still have 70, 75, whatever percent possession. 76 the other day, yeah. And then you look at it and you go, but you look at what are we doing with it, and the ball's going back and forward around the back, and like you play a ball down the channels for Robbo or whoever it is, and they turn back in. They don't want to do something wrong and be exposed, so they give it back into the midfield, back to the back, and that all looks lovely when you're 2 or 3-0 down and you're just rinsing the team. But when you're 2-0 down and you're taking your time and there's no urgency and there's no rush, and you know, it boggles my mind when I see the team playing the way it does when they're behind. If you look at most of the performances this season, when we've been behind, we play for about 30-40 minutes like we're ahead. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. There's just no urgency at all. And then you've got Thiago, who's absolutely brilliant. His passing is sublime at times and stuff like that. But I just think sometimes it's his level and how he thinks about football just not in line with everyone around him. Are they not thinking at the same level? So what happens is he tries stuff, and then because it doesn't come off, it nearly makes him look foolish that he's done something stupid. But yeah, just other people are just not reading the game the way he reads it. And I just think, I think they're overcoached. I think obviously last season was such a disappointment in the end. And for us to be saying such a disappointment with 2 domestic cups and stuff like that, we had a parade, 600, 700,000 people out on the street to support the team the day after we had such a disappointment and stuff in the Champions League. Goes to show how great the fan base is and stuff like that and all. But I just think it's confidence.
Wasn't it?
Massive missed opportunity. And I think, to be honest with you, it's unfair to the team as well, because I firmly believe Thiago and Fabinho were injured at the time playing in the Champions League final. I think he played them injured, I'm being honest. I think they were, because they were nowhere near where they should have been. And I firmly believe that the 2 boys, I think they were still injured, and it forced his hand. He had to play them, I think.
Daz, we're going a few minutes. We're 49 minutes in. We're only meant to be half an hour, but this has been so delightful, so consuming, all-in-consuming. We could go for 20 hours.
Therapy, Dave. Therapy.
Put the check is in the post. Check is in the fucking post. I'll be having nightmares after this bleeding show. We're going forward. So, look, whether we sign someone in the next 2 weeks or we don't, it's out of our hands. I'm sure Klopp's watching. I'm sure he's watching. Him and Pep Linders are sitting down now in a fucking Diet Coke.
Send him the link.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, I still think if we get behind the team, trust in Klopp. Look, this team will not become a fucking basket case overnight. I still think there's a core of a really good team there. Yeah, they're getting older. Yeah. Let's go. Let's get behind the team. I still think we can get top 4. I think it's going to be tough. Champions League, I mean, fucking February, it's Madrid home and away. That's going to be tough. The FA Cup is even going to be bleeding tough. I mean, Wolves away, Brighton away. But I think we could actually go and beat fucking Brighton. That's the type of team we are. We could turn up on fucking Saturday and beat them. And because I don't think we're halfway house with this team at the moment. They're either shite or they're good. You know what I mean? And I think you've got to be good to beat bleeding Brighton at the Amex on Sunday. So are you guys positive? Are you sitting on the fence? Or are you hoping someone comes in the next 2 weeks?
I thought you said, are we positive for this weekend? No chance.
No, you're not positive at all.
It's hard to be.
Yeah.
Just by watching. I mean, I'm just amazed that we've only lost once in the past 5 league games, which is nuts. But then look at the performances. They haven't been good. It's just the other team's been shittier.
Yeah.
And they're going to come up.
Or we got a bit of luck in a few games as well, didn't we?
Newcastle, we're coming up against a team like Brighton at their ground. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not.
Who's going to do a live stream?
They're the kings. They're the kings of bypassing the midfield, aren't they? They're the kings of bypassing the midfield.
As we all know, it would be very Liverpool-like to go and thrash Brighton.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
And then lose Wolves in the FA Cup.
That's a good comment there from Panoff, wasn't it? If you think about it, if you went back 6 or 7 months ago, people were talking about Pep Linders being the heir to the throne.
I never thought Pep Linders to take over.
Remember that? Yeah, a lot of people were talking him up. He'll be the heir to the throne.
Gerard, I don't think. Look, I want Klopp to fucking stay till after 2020 fucking 6. We shouldn't even be talking about like Klopp's being like the fucking messiah. Can he go again? He's 3 years this summer. Can he build again? It's going to be hard because of the money, because of the other clubs coming up behind us, the likes of Newcastle and whatever. Even United are starting to get some sort of fucking shape together. You know what I mean? And they've got money behind them. So it's not going to be easy. And I'm sure Klopp's looking at himself going, I'm sure Klopp's not stupid. He's intelligent, man. He knows what the fucking club needs. He knows what players. But I'm sure there is that bias, as you said, Niall. He does treat the players like his sons. We know all about the famous hug. He's like they're his sons, and it is harder to drop your son if you're a fucking manager than it is just a player. And, he is very close with the team. And that's the way he has always been. With Dortmund, I'm sure, with the Mainz and stuff like that. But I'm positive. Look, I'm trying to be positive. I'm always positive. You've got to be fucking positive. We've a good enough team to beat Brighton. Let's be fucking real here. If he picks the right team, I'll ring him Friday night, tell him who to fucking pick. If he picks the right team and we're ready to rock, take our chances. Jeez, we have enough fucking
We're looking for a midfielder. See, will Stevie throw his boots back on? He's still fairly fit. Like, get Stevie to throw the boots back on. We'd be all right.
He would still do a fucking job for you. Jay Spearing, I heard, was on the way in as well.
He's no problem taking a shot from 20-odd yards out either. You know what I mean? So it'll be all good.
But just want to say a few more things before we go. Where people can find you, or you have anything else coming up? I'll have your links in the description anyway. The upper tier, and of course, Liverpool Connection podcast, guys. Give them a sub. Show them your love. That's what it's all about. The LFC Worldwide family, guys. But Daz, if you aren't coming up or incoming on the Liverpool Connection podcast, where can you find you, basically?
On all the podcast streams and then on YouTube. I just interviewed the drummer from the Irish band today, Modern Love. Have you heard of those lads? Upcoming indie pop band from Ireland.
Indie pop, yeah, a new upcoming band, yeah.
Really nice lads.
How did you get in?
Well,
How did you get him?
Oh, I put my fishing line out. I see.
I tell you what, Niall, see this fella's fucking fishing line. He must have fucking gold on the end of the bleeding thing.
It's stretching from Texas tonight all the way to Dublin. It's a long fishing line.
He was sound. He's a Liverpool supporter, and he's toured in the US, and he's actually coming to Austin. So we'll have a couple of bevs when he gets here. But Stig Ing Bjornaby episode should be coming out. And
I love John Stig and Bjornaby. Do you remember his fucking foot? His left foot? What a fucking shot he had! Holy fuck!
Still looks the same.
Good honest player, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You've had everyone on. You've had fucking Moore. You've had a CEO, ex-CEO. You've had fucking. I think you've had fucking everybody on this. You'll have Klopp on next. You'll have Klopp on before me. Go on, Daz.
Hopefully, I'll be talking to him when he's still in a job.
Well, let's hope so. I'm hoping he goes after 2026, up to 2028. Let's see.
He'll still have a job. He'll still have a job. It just might not be the job.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what might happen?
So, Niall, the upper tier, you do your Shankly sessions, and also we had a nice little therapy chat tonight. So where can people find you? Your link is in the description for YouTube anyway. So
it's the upper tier on YouTube, and we're the upper tier as well on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're out on all the socials. Thursday, we do our usual Thursday tier talk, preview the Premier League, drop a few bets and tips for anyone who fancies Neil Flutter as well. And we discuss transfer news and the latest headlines and all that stuff. And then Friday, we'll be doing probably a Brighton preview for the weekend and stuff like that. And then I'll be back over the weekend, match reaction and player ratings from my sins. These are tough times if you're doing previews, reactions, or player ratings. I tell you, you did well to bypass that. I tell you that much.
There's the link for Daz's right there. Show him your love, give him a sub. There it is. Look, it's an absolute. He has legends on, absolute legends. He's even had me on the odd time, and you know what I mean. But absolute legend. It's in the link, so if you can't get it there, and there is the upper tier as well.
Yeah,
Mark Foster, thank you for putting them in.
Mark's tops for that. He's tops for that, Mark. Top
guys, I really enjoyed that. We're 56 minutes in. As I say, let's get behind the team. You'll never walk alone and all that. You know, I think it's a big 5 months, something like that, coming up for Liverpool. I think it's huge because this will affect next year. Let's be real. Could actually affect Klopp's 3 years tenure that he has left in 2026. But I believe in the team. I believe in Klopp. I think we'll be okay. I think we might just scrape top 4. I take that. I take your hand off right now for that, to be fair. But it's been an absolute pleasure having the boys on, Niall and Daz. Hope to chat to you again sometime.
In happier times.
In happier times. Maybe next week after we hammer Brighton. Who knows? Who knows? Please go, guys. Thank you very much. Chat as well. Stay safe. Talk soon. Enjoy your night. You'll never walk alone, guys.